So I just recently saw the trailer to the new Marvel Disney Plus show Moon Knight, and it actually looks really good actually. It seems that with this trailer and with this new show that Marvel is starting to take a much more gritty, psychological, terrifying horror and kind of more violent approach, which is something that I'm very excited for because it felt like the last Marvel show I was really into, besides obviously Hawkeye, was Daredevil. And ever since then I never really felt that much into any of the Marvel shows because I always felt they were a bit too not adult enough, I guess you can say. But with this new trailer for Moon Knight, it actually looks really good and much more of what I've been looking for in a show to get into. So I figured with my little knowledge on Moon Knight and obviously this whole entire show and like, the tiny bit of research I did for it, why not try to break down the trailer with my tiny bits of knowledge? So I guess without further ado, let's hop right into the trailer. So in this trailer, we get introduced to Marc Spector, who is apparently the main character of this, entire Moon Knight saga or Moon Knight show. And apparently Marc Spector has dissociative identity disorder, which obviously has multiple different personalities, but I will mainly be referring to him as Marc Spector throughout this entire video, just to more so simplify things, just so I don't have to name 40 different personalities before I actually while referring to the character. But in this trailer, we do get to introduce to Marc Spector, who is obviously does have a dissociative identity disorder, who has multiple amounts of personalities. As we do see in the trailer, he is referred to as two different people throughout the trailer, such as Marc, obviously during a phone call when he does find a phone, and obviously when he's inside this museum looking place, this kind of place obviously looks like more of a museum than anything. He does refer to himself as Steven, so most likely in the trailer when he is referred to as Marc by someone who I'm assuming is his colleague Jean, who is referred to as as one helpful person inside this Wikipedia article that I'm briefly reading through. And telling about the connections between the Wikipedia article that I'm reading right now and the trailer, it does look like there are going to be some similarities as to what happens based on what I'm assuming is the comics and the show. So basically, to go off the Wikipedia article that I'm reading, it does say Marc Spector is a former Marine and CIA operative who becomes a mercenary after his service, and basically on a trip to Sudan as a mercenary or his mercenary self. Some stuff just definitely does not go his way and definitely goes sideways with his fellow mercenaries and is basically wounded and heavily basically assumed dead, and technically clinically does die until he's brought forth in front of the Egyptian moon god Khonshu, which I'm assuming that's how you pronounce the name, correct me if I am wrong, and is basically subsequently revived and saved by what I'm assuming is Khonshu, which in this trailer we do get to see him brought in front of some form of kind of statue, as he does look very bloodied up and definitely all beat up. So with all these scenes inside of this pyramid, this museum, I'm assuming this is when he's in Sudan, unless they do try to change the story up just a little bit from what I'm reading here from the comics. So I'm assuming all the scenes where, like I said, he's inside this pyramid temple place, I'm assuming this is when things do go really wrong and he might be about to die, and this is when he is revived by Khonshu, because we do get to see as he is entering an elevator and trying to run from something inside this elevator, we do get to see the moon god Khonshu approaching the elevator, and obviously he scares the shit out of him, which I'm not gonna lie, this design or whatever looks fucking awesome. Khonshu looks really cool, but I'm assuming this is maybe after he's revived, maybe while he's inside the temple or whatever. I'm assuming this is his first interaction with Khonshu, since obviously he does seem very terrified and obviously not wanting to be around and get the hell away from it. But now that we're on to the subject of Khonshu, I might as well go deeper into this Wikipedia article that I did read up on with with Khonshu and obviously Marc Spector and Moon Knight in general. But apparently Spectre or Marc Spector's mental disorder is due to childhood trauma or the results of brain damage caused by his psychic connection to Khonshu, which is obviously this moon god being that we've been seeing throughout the trailer for little bits and pieces. And apparently he has been basically branded of being Moon Knight from his younger self or younger ages of childhood all the way to now. And basically Khonshu tells Marc Spector that he has created a kind of psychic connection with him since he was a boy, basically until he was eventually ready to be fully recruited as the avatar on Earth or his left fist of Khonshu, and basically become Moon Knight, which I'm assuming will be explained in the show. Maybe we'll get an actual interaction between Khonshu and Marc Spector and Moon Knight, which would be really cool. And it does mention in the Wikipedia article that that Marc Spector is conflicted about feelings of violence and obviously mortality, which is shown a little bit in the trailer during this chase scene, or during this scene when Marc Spector, yet again Marc Spector referring to only one of the personalities of the character, we do see him driving a truck and basically holding a gun in his hand, very bloodied up, which like I said seems very violent and everything, which is something that I'm very excited for in the show. But we do see him drop the gun gun in kind of a bit of like a scared or disgust form, which I'm assuming is like, Marc Spector, the character Marc Spector, coming to and obviously feeling like, very like, oh my god, what did I just do? And obviously we see a dead body fall at the back of the truck, which will be really, really cool in my opinion. And kind of going into deeper in like, kind of unknown water, since like I said, I don't know much about the character of Marc Spector, Moon Knight, and all this like, lore in the background, which I do want to get into a little bit more once I do start watching the show when it does eventually release. But we do get to see that he kind of has trouble defining reality from like, dreams. And we do get to see that obviously, like, we do get to see his kind of personality, or not personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder in the beginning of the trailer, where he basically chains himself to bed and all that kind of stuff, which I did really find very interesting and unique for like, a character, because when I first originally watched Daredevil, obviously a blind superhero was something like, very unique to me, and so I felt like, very different from just the standard superhero, and to see like, a superhero with a disability was actually really cool. So to see like, a superhero with another kind of disability or kind of disorder will be very interesting. I'm very, very excited to like, explore more of that and everything. And based on what I have seen is that Ethan Hawke will be playing, I think, the villain. I'm not sure, but apparently he'll be playing a character that goes by the name of, he'll be playing Arthur Harrow, which is apparently a villain. I'm not 100% sure, like I said before, but we do get to see an interaction in this trailer by Arthur Harrow, or Ethan Hawke's character, like, interacting with like, Moon Knight or Marc Spector, which would be really cool. And apparently Arthur Harrow in the like, comics is a very talented surgeon / scientist who secretly works for an organization that goes by the name of Omnium, or Omnium, or like, OMNIUM. And apparently he's a antagonist to Marc Spector's Moon Knight, and a scientist that suffers from a disease that has a facial disfigurement, which we do get to see a little bit in the trailer. We do get to see his face does kind of look, a little different, or a little bit wacky, I guess. And apparently there's other like, comic lore with like, Arthur Harrow and Moon Knight, which I'll make sure to link an article down below in the description for where I get a lot of this information from on like, Arthur Harrow and like, Moon Knight. I'll also make sure to link all the sources and everything down below so you guys go take a look at it, like, if you want to read up on like, more lore. And the last and final thing I did want to like, touch on from the Moon Knight trailer, and something that I'm surprised I didn't talk about earlier and kind of like, flip out about earlier, is the Moon Knight suit. I think the effect of the Moon Knight suit coming on, first of all, looks really fucking cool, but also just the Moon Knight suit in general looks really like amazing. Like it just looks very cool. Like I genuinely like it. It's up there with my favorite suits of all times from superheroes, which is obviously my favorite of all time is obviously Spider-Man, and then obviously Daredevil. Moon Knight is definitely up there in my top 10, and is even possibly in my top 3, like I said, Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Moon Knight. Obviously I love Iron Man and his suits and everything, so I'd say it's like, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Iron Man, and then Moon Knight. But like I said, definitely up there. The suit does look very, very cool, and I really love the design of how it's like, all like, white out and everything. It looks very mystical and cool, and I love how they do show off the violence of Moon Knight, or not as, I guess you could say violence of him like beating the fuck out of someone down to the ground, which looks really cool. And I'm very excited to see like, this dark side of like, a more dark, gritty, terrifying, like, more violent show that is a lot more psychological, as a lot of people are saying, which obviously I definitely got that from the trailer. That would be a lot more psychological than like, a lot of the other shows. But that was my kind of breakdown and explaining on the Moon Knight trailer, the Disney Plus Marvel show. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very excited for this show. And the series does start streaming on March 30th, which I'm not gonna lie, isn't insanely far away, but feels really far away, since like I said, my excitement is really, really up there for like, this series. I don't remember seeing much of Oscar Isaac's work, which a lot of people might be like, what the fuck? But I'm very excited to see how he will be with the character. Based on what a lot of people are saying about like, Oscar Isaac, I'm pretty sure he'll kick ass as the character and everything. I really cannot wait to see just like the series in general. But that was all I really wanted to say. I make sure to link the trailer, all the sources that I got all my information from down below in the description. Make sure to like, correct me down below if I did get anything wrong, or like, what I did get right, what I did get, I don't know, just feel free to correct me, I guess. But yeah, that was all from me today. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below on the trailer. Are you really excited for it? What about this trailer got you really, really hyped and everything? Do you like the character Moon Knight? Have you ever like, read any of the comics? Make sure to comment that all down below, and yeah, I will see you guys later. Peace, my amigos, and peace out.